welcome to all the participants, and a particularly warm welcome to our visitors, or our guest hosts today, Heather Downey, who is a upper school biology teacher, and Grace Gordon, who is at the other end of the spectrum. She's got the little ones, the explorers down in the lower school. So we're going to start off today, folks. I'm John Warren. I'm the Director of Admissions, and what we hope for is the start of a conversation. We're very proud of our school here, and
will you tell them to spread out and start looking around?
And so what we're going to do is start off with Heather Downey chatting a little bit. She's actually right now out in the bush with her biology class, I assume. So take it away, Heather.
Okay, well, it's actually environmental science today, but can you guys hear me okay? If I walk away from them, I can take my mask off a little bit. There we go. So we are down at Big Walnut Creek, and my Envi-Sci class is looking for macroinvertebrates on the stream bottom. So let me just pan to them. They're all in the creek right now, if you guys can see them. And they're flipping rocks. And so we're actually doing a lab that's looking at energy flow and water quality for part of our stream ecology unit. And so they're counting macroinvertebrates that are on the undersides of these rocks and classifying them whether they are sensitive to pollution or changes in environmental effects like temperature, right? Things like that, or if they are very tolerant of it. And so from that, they're going to get an index on the stream quality just based off the organisms that are living on the stream bottom. We're also taking some water samples, and we'll take those back to the lab and we'll do some chemical analysis as well. So they're getting wet. They're super excited today to be out here because they've heard about it. There they are. And can you guys flip a rock and bring it over so I can zoom in? Yeah, that's not a good one. Okay, find a good one. And maybe we can show you guys what some of these macroinvertebrates look like real quick. Watch us not be able to find any, right? Because now we're like on the spot. Did you find one, Susie? Here they go. Found one snail. Maybe. These kids are up there. We also had some kids taking some physical characteristic measurements. So they're looking at the velocity of the stream and the temperature as well. Oh, Susie's got something. Oh, she's got two. What's Susie find? Oh, all sorts of fun stuff. Okay. All right. So here's, this one's flipped over. Here's one crawling there. And then there's two more there. Yeah. Wait, there's two more on that. So there are some snails here. And I don't know if you guys can see anything wiggling. We actually have a penny beetle, and we have lots of different mayfly larvae on the rock. And this one looks like it might be a dragonfly larva because it's a little bit larger there. All right. And then down here, there's a lot of snails clustered too in the rock. There's a big cluster of snails. You see the dragon? Oh yeah, look at that guy. He's huge. You see him moving? This guy right here. Look how big he is. I don't know if you guys can see that on Zoom, but
yeah, we got it.
All right, that's a great rock, guys. Make sure you count how many organisms you have. All right. All right.
I was hoping for my octopus teacher to be in there. Have you guys seen that?
No.
Oh, it's a Netflix special, or a Netflix documentary. Oh. It's fabulous.
Is it? Okay, I'll look at it. I think I saw that actually recommended on a teacher website recently.
It's pretty amazing. My octopus teacher.
All right.
So what sort of measurements will you guys be doing with the water when you get back up to with the stream samples?
Yeah, so in the classroom, we'll look at turbidity of the water, which is basically the cloudiness of the water. We'll take some dissolved oxygen readings. We'll look at nitrates. We'll look at phosphorus. So we'll get a good indicator of the chemicals, or just, I shouldn't say the chemicals, but the chemical analysis of the water for today. The reason why we do both is that biological indicators, the organisms on the bottom, they live there for about a year. And so they are actually a better indicator for the health of a stream than just a simple water sample that just shows you what the daily chemical analysis was, for a single day. Okay. So.
Great.
Trying to give like the whole pan of all the kids here.
How big is your class?
So I have 2 sections of environmental science this year. One section has 12 and the other section has 11. So pretty good. Last year we had one very large section of 18.
Oh.
So.
So with 12 and 11, these are juniors and seniors, I assume?
Mostly juniors and seniors. This class has more seniors than juniors. My second section has more juniors than seniors. Yeah, wait. This class, oh wait, I gotta look at them. Yeah, this class has more seniors. The other class has more juniors. So.
Okay. Well, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Any other questions that we should ask? Are there any questions? I should have mentioned, folks who are listening from outside, if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll be able to moderate. So,
Heather, is the name of this class environmental science?
Yes, it's environmental science.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So you're outside most of the time, I take it.
We're outside as much as possible. In the winter, we tend to go inside because it's cold, but we still trek out a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
is this an AP class or?
No, it's not an AP class, which means it's not required to take the AP. Last year, I had 9 out of my 18 students take the AP. This year, I have a handful of kids signed up to take the AP. So it makes it accessible to almost everybody at CA, so they don't feel the pressure of the AP. So it's not a test prep class. We're really focused on learning techniques and talking about issues in environmental science and getting outside and getting to know our environment. We have such a fabulous campus at CA that we're taking advantage of it as much as possible.
I'm just going to throw this out for those of you who may or may not know. AP is advanced placement, just so people know that. We use the lingo and somebody may not know what the lingo is, but that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heather, thank you for joining us.
Yes, no problem.
From out in the wilderness.
Yes, students in the wild.
Thanks very much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, so that was, again, that's Heather Downey, who is an environmental science and biology teacher here at the school. We're now going to, I'm going to introduce Debbie Keyran. I specialize, as the director of admissions, I specialize in the middle school and upper school admissions. And Debbie has, she has the role of specializing in the lower school admissions. So our Explorer program up through 5th grade. So Debbie can introduce one of our great lower school teachers.
I'm going to introduce right off the bat, Grace Gordon. And Grace is our in-house outdoor expert in the lower school. And I've seen little kids come in with something that maybe aren't in Grace's class, and they'll say, "What is this?" And immediately, whoever is talking to the child goes, "Go ask Miss Gordon. She'll be the one that knows that. Go ask Miss Gordon. She'll be the one that knows that." So I'm going to turn it over to Grace, who's going to talk. She is teaching in the Explorers program that I would say is leaning towards 60% outside, maybe Grace, maybe even more. You can address that, but she's going to talk about the outdoor education in the lower school in general. So take it away, Grace.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Like Debbie said, I am a lead teacher in the Explorers program. Our goal with the Explorers is to be outside around 60 to 70%. Some days we reach it, some days we do not. It depends on the weather, it depends on how the kids are doing. It also depends on our co-curriculars that we have in terms of, we go to art, we go to PE, we have wellness, we have library, and those types of specials. So it kind of depends on the schedule. So I made a little presentation for everyone to kind of share what we're doing here at the lower school level with outdoor education. So I'm going to try and share my screen. Hopefully this will work. Can everyone see that? Debbie and John, can you guys see that?
We can.
Great. Okay. So we're going to start off at the lower end and talk about the Explorers. So the Explorers are tend to be 3 and 4-year-old students. So and that's where I'm teaching. So we tried to be outside every day. So in a minute, I'm going to talk about Forest Fridays. And Forest Fridays are for a little bit older kids where they go outside and spend most of the day outside. But we always say in the Explorers that we have Forest Friday every day. Because we are outside every single day as much as we possibly can. We encourage the students to be using all of their senses. We encourage them to be taking controlled risks in terms of physical as well as emotional, but especially when we're outdoors, it tends to be physical risks. So it might be climbing a tree. So when I say controlled risk taking, I'm encouraging them to try and climb that tree, but I'm also giving them guidelines to help them to be safe. So my big thing is, okay, the branch you're about to grab, is that as thick or thicker than your wrist? Because if it's not as thick, it probably can't hold you and be safe. And we also ask, is the tree still alive? The tree needs to be alive to be able to climb it. And as well as you need to be the one and only person climbing the tree. So we take turns climbing the tree. And I will say a child, this is with any toy and any tree that we play with, a child has the right to use that toy or climb that tree as long as they want to. And then when they're done, they know to go tell the person that asks, that wants to use it next, that it's their turn next. So, and then most of our time is unstructured play time because we feel that that is developmentally appropriate. We will infuse academics if it comes up naturally, but we do not sit there and teach them the ABCs. We know they're going to get that in pre-K. Our goal for the Explorers is that we want them to be children, and we want them to want this to be age appropriate for them. So while we are creating these unstructured play times for the kids, we are still helping them to develop social, emotionally, cognitively, in terms of their language, communicating with us, communicating with their peers, as well as their physical development. And I will say physical development, I love seeing the growth of the physical development throughout the course of the year. Gross motor and fine motor, just in terms of, all the opportunities they have outside to develop those skills. I will say with the Explorers, we are very heavy on the social emotional piece. So moving on here, see if I can move on. The next slide I have here is a video of an Explorer. The person taking the video is an Explorers teacher. And then you're gonna see these Explorers kind of head out across the log here in a minute. As you're watching this video, pay attention to how the teacher is speaking to the kids. We try to encourage different skills, like, again, controlled risk taking, just different social emotional skills. So listen to that, and then we'll talk about it when it's done. So hopefully everyone can hear this in a minute. Can you hear it?
Comes my scooters. You feel safe up there?
Yeah.
You like being up?
What is that yellow?
This is a rock.
No, what is that flash?
It's the sun, honey. It's the sun. Keep going, Jack. You're going to make it across. Here comes Hudson. Good work, Hudson. Wow. Yep. Sonica's going across. It gets a little tricky there, Jack.
Look at my hand.
You got it. Some of your friends have been going over that root, over at the bottom of the tree there. Gabby, can you show Jack how you got there?
I climbed over that weird. Let me show you.
Thanks, Lydia.
Look. Look, Miss Rose.
Yeah.
Here you go, Miss Rose.
Way to go, Huds. You made it.
I made it.
Jack, Gabby, can you show Jack the path over to the creek now?
Sure. Miss Rose, here you go. Jack, follow me.
Good work, Sonica. You're making it.
This is for you.
Thank you. Wow, Lydia, you're up pretty high, girl. You're so brave. Keep going. Ooh, do you know what that is? Use your dog nose. Smell the flowers.
What
Honeysuckle. That's a honeysuckle. Yep.
All right, there's a lot to unpack in that video. I'm going to mention a couple things I should have said. This video was taken before COVID. So anytime I'm going to share some pictures, if you see pictures of kids without masks, that was pre-COVID. Any pictures of kids with masks was this year. So this was actually our first year with the Explorers, which was 2 years ago now. And hopefully you noticed Mrs. Rowe, the teacher, saying things like, do you feel safe? So we try to check in and try to create that awareness for them. So that our goal is that they're asking themselves, do I feel safe in this situation? If not, I'm going to change what I'm doing. She is encouraging them by saying, you're brave. She's also encouraging others to help their friends and not just rely on the teacher to be this person that's going to help them. Like ask Gabby to show you how to get across the log. Ask her to show you how to get down to the creek. And I love it how Gabby's like, sure, follow me. Also we encourage just curiosity, using, like I said, all of the senses. Dog nose is one of our senses that we really focus on. So it's their sense of smell. We teach deer ears, raccoon touch, and owl eyes as well. So I love that video. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I do, because it really captures what we do in the Explorers program on a daily basis. Moving up from us, pre-K through pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade all have something called Forest Fridays, where they go outside for as long as possible during the day on Fridays, every Friday. And pre-K and kindergarten, the goals tend to be more free play, social interaction, grit mindset, resilience with the kids, which is similar to us, but they will also infuse some more curricular pieces, especially like shapes and letters tend to get in there. The first grade goals, they do allow for free play outdoors, but they do have a lot more focused kind of lessons in terms of the curriculum. So I know first grade they sometimes do shapes, they'll do numbers. They also have done a big project on human impacts on animals, where they studied what animals live here, and then like, how do we affect as humans, how do we affect the animals that live here? And then going up from there, second, third, and fourth all have outdoor weeks. So that happens like several times. Most of the grades have them fall, winter, and spring at the minimum. And then beyond that, the second grade will go out and do hikes. They have team building. We actually have kind of low ropes course elements throughout our outdoor space on campus. The third grade does different curricular lessons. One is math. Actually, just recently I talked to a fourth grade teacher about a math lesson that she did and actually this picture, they had the kids, this is actually a team building element right here, but they had the kids, they were studying math. And so it's almost like a balance, like a human balance. So they were studying mass of people. And then fourth grade does a Native Ohio's Animals project, where they go outside and study the animals, and they create brochures, and then they give the brochures to a local wildlife rehabilitation center. And then fifth grade does read alouds, hikes, mass breaks. A lot, I will say too, with COVID, there's even more outdoor time these days. So recess can sometimes be outside in the woods, and like these mass breaks and just these brain breaks that happen are often outside in the woods these days. And I just wanted to leave you with a quote: the best education does not happen at a desk, but rather engaged in everyday living, hands-on, exploring, and active relationships with life. And then I have my email address on there.
Wow, Grace, thank you. John, I'm gonna jump in here with some most,
Oh, sorry, I just stopped sharing my
did I get kicked off? Okay. Most often asked questions, like, what have parents seen as the positive to having their child outdoors so much?
Yes. I feel like we hear, like, people come here to our school because they are, planning to have their child here the entire their entire academic career. And sometimes people are not totally sure about starting off with their young ones in such a kind of nature immersion based program. And I love hearing from those parents the most at the end of the year when they were like, we weren't totally sure about the outdoor piece, but we have seen our child grow in their confidence, and we know that it's because of the outdoor piece. And so I think for me, hearing that, I realize that it's about resilience, like realizing maybe a child isn't comfortable out in the woods, but then eventually they grow in their comfort. And also, if that family takes their child then out to a local park, their child becomes the leader for that family. Like they are hiking and the child is showing them, oh, Miss Gordon showed me this plant. You rub it, you smell it, check this out. And I love it when the parents are like, they taught me so much. And, hearing that, like, that is going to grow a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old's confidence in huge ways.
I know, just seeing the video, I could garner from that, the term Mrs. Rowe was saying, oh, you're going over, so the kids were hearing that term. The follow me is so cute because of the sense of confidence. I know they learned what honeysuckle was, being out there at that time. So just in that little video, there was so much that was captured. As far as directions and confidence. I love that video too. But how do you handle it when I've had parents say to me too, sometimes on tours, but it's so cold. Were you really out there? Or it's pouring down rain. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So we are all about the gear here. So we understand that there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing or bad gear. So if you noticed in that video, the kids were sledding along the log with, they all had the same matching rain pants. So those are rain pants that we let the children use throughout the year. And that's the case in the Explorers, pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade, I believe, just because we're all doing the just outside so often. Those rain pants are so key. Like we put them on today and then went outside and played. There's just this freedom that comes when you have good gear like that, that they can just immerse themselves in the elements. Winter.
Can I interrupt? You might want to tell our viewers where you're talking from.
Oh, I am talking from our laundry room, also known as our mud room. And I actually there's a pair of kids' rain pants right behind me. And there's boots right behind me here too. It was the only place I could find where I could take off my mask and be safe. And actually my computer is situated on top of our laundry machine and our dryers right next to me. So that's actually another thing that we use a ton when in wet weather, muddy weather. We just take off all the gear and throw it in the wash, throw it in the dryer, and then it's ready by the next day. Winter does get a little trickier. Parents do send in their winter gear. We help to educate them on what the best gear is. The biggest thing is that it needs to be waterproof and it needs to be insulative, but waterproof is actually like the biggest thing. So if we have good gear and we keep moving, it is amazing the type of weather we can be out in. I will say we will shorten the time period if it gets crazy cold. Like we adjust depending on what the kids need in the situations.
And Grace, do you ever have students that are just going, when you see insects or bugs or whatever out there that are just going or don't like the cold, anybody ever standing there going, ooh, or no, I'm not going to touch that or whatever?
Yes, yeah, we definitely have had that. I remember specifically a child our first year with our Explorers program that was, the parents even told us she is terrified of insects. And we were like, okay, we got this. And so much that we have seen is us modeling not having the fear, like going up and explaining like, oh, this is an insect you can touch. It's not going to harm you. Or, ooh, we're just going to use our owl eyes and give it some space. So knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And this child, by the end of the year, that was extremely terrified of insects, grew so much. And I loved hearing from the parents, like, yes, she's still terrified of bees, but she will pick up insects and tell us about them. And they were like, we are shocked that you guys got there. So I think it's seeing us in the way that we're modeling how we interact with wildlife or insects, as well as their peers. Like if their peers are like, oh my gosh, like they get excited too, they want to join in on the fun and see what's happening too.
Right. Another key word for me as I was going down the hallway, a little girl was putting on her boots and she said, oh, Mrs. Kieran, I got this. You put your foot in here and you push and you push and you push till it gets there. And I could tell she had a rhythm of how she was learning how to do this on her own. Talk about independence a little bit, what that, you know, in the beginning of the year, yes, it's going to take a long time, but after you learn how to push, 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 you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Independence, we try and encourage that in any and every area that we are working with the kids with. So in terms of independence of climbing a tree, I'm not going to help you climb that tree. You can do it or you probably need to try again another day and see if you can climb it. But definitely independence with the gear is a huge lesson. I will say at the beginning of the year, it takes us probably about 45 minutes to put on our rain pants, our raincoat, and our rain boots. And it can be painful at times. However, I love, like you said, Debbie, like they start to kind of feel like I can do this, I can put this on, and I feel good when I do that for myself. And so we are really encouraging them. Like when I see a child that struggled to put on their gear, they do it totally on their own. I will go over and acknowledge like, wow, do you feel so proud of yourself? I just saw you put on your gear and you didn't even need to ask for help. That was amazing. And, and they're just like beaming. They're like, yeah, I did that.
I did that all by myself. John,
Yeah.
You've got a good story about a child outside.
This is actually,
that's good.
Yeah, I love sharing this story. I happen to be a bird watcher. And so one day, at this point, there was only one section of the explorers. And but they were going out to our outdoor learning center. This was 3 years ago, I guess. And they were making bird feeders out of bagels and cream cheese with, sunflower seeds on top, stuck in there, and then they'd tie a little loop and hang it on a tree. And so they asked me to go along, and I thought, oh, this is going to be so much fun. I'm going to teach them all about birding. Well, the kids, they all had binoculars. It was darling, but they weren't really interested in the birds. And I mean, there's a bird. In any case, the most fun was I brought a ladder. I brought my 8-foot ladder to hang the these makeshift bird feeders up, and the kids were all taking turns climbing the ladder. And I brought it just to help us. I didn't realize that actually was much more interesting to the children than the birds were. And so there was one little boy, Henry, and he was just a little peanut. His legs barely could reach the next step. Smallest little tyke in the class. And so I'm kind of worried, and I'm watching him go up and carefully monitoring. And on the way down, it didn't even occur to me, but actually going down a ladder is harder than going up a ladder. Yeah, I see Grace nodding because she's seen this. I just didn't have any experience. So, but this little kid, Henry, goes up to the top, hangs his bird feeder, and he starts going down. And I'm going, oh, geez, this is, so I'm kind of helping him a little bit. And he, I just kind of guide his foot to the next rung, and I'm still up there holding. And as soon as he realizes that he can do it, he just kind of shoves my hand out. It's like, he was just, that made his day to be able to go down the ladder. It was hilarious.
I love some of their discoveries. I have a quick story too. When it was the first, after a break in January, it was really cold and they were coming in, and I said, well, what was fun today? And the little boy said to me, Mrs. Kieran, you won't believe what happened to the creek. And I said, well, what? And he goes, it's crunchy. And I thought, oh, it's cold now. So weaving the academics in there, maybe you can talk about that a little bit. I know he was learning solid versus liquid. just on that experience. Can you address that a little bit to take us out here, Grace? Thank you.
At the explorers level, so this has happened, I feel like every winter. We'll go outside, we'll find ice for the first time, and the kids will just want to explore it, you know, hit it, crush it. And then someone inevitably asks, what would happen if we brought this inside? And so I'm like, oh, good question. And so we'll basically run through the scientific method with them as three, and we'll get their hypotheses and their predictions as to what's going to happen when we put it in this bowl in our classroom. And then a couple hours later, we go back and check and make discoveries about why now it's a liquid and not a solid. And yeah, so at the explorers level, it's very emergent, it's very organic. At the kind of pre-K and up, it does tend to be more like planned. There'll still be organic, emergent opportunities that the teachers will take advantage of, but it does tend to be a little more planned. So like as an example, for the 4th grade, they just recently spent a week outdoors studying the local wildlife. I kind of mentioned this when I was during my slideshow, but they went to different ecosystems. So they went to the creek, they went to kind of like a prairie area and then a forest, and they studied the different animals that live there in those different ecosystems. And then they each took one animal and they did this huge report, made these pamphlets and brochures, and then, like I said, donated it to the Ohio Wildlife Center, which is a rehabilitation center, so that that center can then pass out those brochures to kind of educate the public about the animals that they rehabilitate. Yeah, which is really cool. Just how when they were using writing, they were using observation skills, and you know, just service to this organization.
Service being a biggie as well too. So if there aren't any more questions, I think we're good. John, do we have anything else in the chat or?
No, we don't. Not that I saw. Let me check just to make sure. But
I had looked earlier.
But I do want to mention that we are having these Zooms at noon each Tuesday at noon. Hence the name. Thank you, Mrs. Keyran, for coming up with that clever title. And
elementary school mind, yes.
So in any case, next week, we're going to have a recorded session. Unfortunately, our one of our instructors, Beth Reifeis, has to teach her class during this noon hour. But we're going to be talking with Beth Reifeis, who is the junior speech teacher. And we're going to be talking about public speaking at Columbus Academy, and with a special focus on the junior speech, which you can find out more as you if you come to that session. It's I actually did one back in 1979. So
I bet you could still recite the first paragraph. I would venture to say any Academy graduate, if you ask them about their junior speech, I bet they could recite the first paragraph without a doubt on what their speech was. And yeah.
In any case, as I said earlier in this meeting, it is just a quick chance for us to begin a conversation or continue a conversation with all of you out there. So we are hoping that you'll come for a tour. Those are after school and on weekends, or we've got a virtual tour that we're putting together. We really appreciate your time and wish everybody a great day.
And I want to thank Grace. I think everybody can understand, and Heather too, why you're the go-to person for our outdoor ed and as a teacher in our Explorers program. So thank you, Grace. Thank you very, very much. And Heather too.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.